Tonight on the Mike Tomlin Show, Coach Tomlin tells Bob Pompeani how the Steelers tried to make the best of their unexpected bye week. They also preview what will be a defensive battle when the 1-2-1 Eagles come to Heinz Field tomorrow. Plus, I go one-on-one with tight end Eric Ebron, and we will finally see a limited number of fans inside Heinz Field for this matchup. We'll hear from team president Art Rooney II on that. The Mike Tomlin Show starts right now.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Welcome to the Mike Tomlin Show presented by 84 Lumber. I'm Missi Matthews. Coach Tomlin always preaches to his team to be light on their feet, and last week was a perfect example of having to adjust on the fly. Coach Tomlin is with Bob Pompeani, so let's head over now to get Coach's take on the Steelers' unexpected bye week. Bob?
Thank you very much, Missy, and this is going to be a football game, something we didn't see last week as Mike Tomlin joins us here. And Coach, I know you've had to deal with bye weeks over the years. This was a different situation, so I wonder how you adapt to it, what it was like to go through.
You know, it wasn't a lot to adapt to be quite honest with you. It was the latter part of the week before we realized it was a bye. So looking back at it, I probably had the most productive bye of all time. The way that I worked at the early portions of the week was very much like game week-like. So when the dust settles, when we have an opportunity to look back at it and we get an opportunity to open up those old notes from the last time we prepared for Tennessee, we'll realize what a productive week it was.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, certainly. Let's also talk about the first 3 weeks now. You're an undefeated football team. And there have been a lot of great things to talk about. I just want to start by looking at Ben Roethlisberger, who at one point talked about his own footwork and how it needed to improve. But what were your expectations, given his surgery, first 3 weeks versus what you end up getting in the first 3 weeks?
You know, it's really kind of been what I expected. First of all, his overall health was not in question. We got a great deal of confidence in our medical staff and the rehabilitation process that he went through and his overall preparedness from that perspective. It was more about a process of him getting reacclimated to play and knocking the rust off and finding his rhythm, and that's what we've been going through over the last 3 weeks, and it has gotten progressively better, and that's a reasonable expectation, and I expect it to continue.
Running game has been good. You're the only team in the NFL that had 3 100-yard rushers, 2 by Connor, 1 by Snell. You utilized more guys as things went on. Connor got most of the carries, but is your plan going forward to try to, put into play others like a McFarland, like a Snell, like a Samuels, or how will that division of labor work for you?
There's no question there. I've been pretty adamant in expressing that James is our featured runner. He'll get the bulk of the carries, but we are interested in the unique skill set of those that supplement him and finding ways for them to add value to our attack. And you've seen that some already from the likes of Benny Snell and now Anthony McFarland. And that's what we like about the group. We've got quality depth of capable guys, but we got guys with different skill sets that lend itself to add balance to our offensive attack.
Looking at the wide receivers, I thought a kid like Chase Claypool, without really anything in terms of a preseason to deal with, he would be a contributor, maybe not so much in quantity, but quality of catches. He seems to be making big plays whenever he gets an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I think we're really just scratching the surface in terms of what he's capable of doing for us. And what you're witnessing in stadiums is not unlike what we've seen at practice. And that's where we find our comfort in development of plans regarding young people. And we talk to guys about that all the time. If you want to make plays in a stadium, or if you want to have an opportunity to make plays in stadiums, you got to consistently make them in a practice setting. And he's done that. And so we've become accustomed to it, and now we work hard to find opportunities for him to do it in the stadium, and it feeds itself.
Defensively, you guys have a lot of top-rated guys. You're number one when it comes to being stingy against the run game, which is a great way to start. You're also number one in sacks, quarterback hits. But I wonder strategically if teams will start to make quicker pass attempts in order to kind of neutralize your outside backers. If that happens, what do you do to counteract that?
I'm sure they will, and they already have. That's just the nature of of today's game. We got to be able to get pressure with 4 and 3 in those circumstances to lend more guys to coverage. Pressure is our nature, but we're not going to rush stupid. If people are making prudent decisions regarding protection or the speed in which the ball comes out, then we're adaptable, and we have been, and we need to continue to be in an effort to minimize in totality what offenses do.
I can always count on you to come up with something I've never heard before. We're not going to rush stupid. I've never heard that, but that's absolutely true. You're very good at that stuff, and I don't know if it's planned or just comes out, but I really like hearing it. I want to ask you also about two guys who've stepped up defensively, and that would be Mike Hilton and Vince Williams, two guys who don't get the normal publicity, the guys like Watt and Dupree may get, but how important have they been, and why have they been so successful?
I think it's important to talk about why they don't necessarily get the notoriety, because they don't play every snap. Mike is a nickel that plays primarily in sub-package football, and he's probably playing 70% of the game. Vince is a guy that's a run-down football player and first and second down player, if you will, and he's probably playing about 70% of the game. But within that 70%, man, they're really productive components of our attack. Both guys have been highly productive and really good at producing in their specialized area. And we need guys like that. If we're going to be a good defensive unit, it's not going to be because we got 11 guys. Generally, the great defenses I've been around has a nice group of guys, 15, 16, if you will, that provides depth and specialization that gives the offense issues.
So it's the Battle of Pennsylvania as Philadelphia comes to town this week. Eagles and Steelers, two first-place teams. We'll talk about the resilient Eagles coming back with head coach Mike Tomlin. For now, let's send it back over to Missi Matthews.
Very excited, Bob, to talk about an actual football game this week. And the Steelers and Eagles will be meeting for the 79th time in their series history tomorrow at Heinz Field. Still to come on the Mike Tomlin Show, we will finally see fans tomorrow inside the stadium for the first time this season. Team President Art Rooney II and Coach Tomlin weigh in. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mike Tomlin Show, presented by 84 Lumber. The Eagles beat the 49ers on Sunday Night Football to push their record to an NFC East best 1-2-1. So did their offense start to find rhythm? Was it their tough defensive front? Let's go back to Bob and Coach for more on what to expect in tomorrow's Battle of PA.
All right, Missi Matthews, thanks very much. It's going to be an interesting battle this week, the Battle of Pennsylvania, as Philadelphia comes to town. This is an Eagles team, coach, that I would look at and call resilient, given the amazing amount of injuries they've had to deal with. And they went out west to a team also dealing with injuries in San Francisco and won a football game, and they had to do with the guys you hardly knew of. What makes them successful, knowing that Doug Peterson has confidence in a lot of guys?
First of all, they get no sympathy from me regarding the injuries. That's such is life in our business. And they got a bunch of capable guys. And I think that's what we all discover when faced with the challenge of injuries, is that we are professional football teams comprised of professional players and ones that are capable of delivering quality play. And you're starting to get an opportunity to see that from their bunch. But not only in terms of the guys that are getting an opportunity to step in, but you're seeing kind of a redistribution of the football, of their talents, if you will. And so it creates some challenges for those that they play. When they're playing without a Deshaun Jackson or an Alshon Jeffries, you have to forecast and really work at trying to figure out how they're going to redistribute the football. And that unknowing makes them a tough nut to crack. And I think it was a component of play for them a week ago, and it's something that's worrisome to us as we prepare this week.
Miles Sanders is a guy who everyone around here is familiar with, out of Woodland Hills, going back to his high school days. And I'm just curious about your thoughts about him, knowing that your team has been very good and stingy stopping the run. How much of him do you expect to see?
I expect to see a lot of him. Prior to his evolution, if you will, Philadelphia was primarily a running back by committee group. As he's evolved since they've acquired him, you see them really zero in on him and his talents and his versatility. He's an all situations player. He's capable of having an impact on the game in a variety of ways, interior running, perimeter running, the passing game. He has our attention along with Ertz, the tight end. Those are two key components, I think, that's going to help Wentz deal with the loss of some of his core receivers.
Carson Wentz has had a rough go, mostly because there have been a lot of injuries we talked about. Their offensive line last week had 4 backups and their starting center. So that makes it difficult. Is that an invitation to try to, go after that situation and him specifically, although he has been running the ball better than he has since his rookie year?
I think Coach Peterson and company really do an awesome job of working to keep defenses off balance, being thoughtfully non-rhythmic in their attack. And I think under these circumstances, it's doubly important, and that's the path that we anticipate them taking. So we are familiar with what it is they do. We are familiar with what we're looking at on tape, but we better be prepared for them to spin the dial a little bit in an effort to keep us off balance.
Yeah, defensively, your team has to face a team that's really coming on, I think. First couple of games, the Eagles had just 2 sacks. In their last 2, they've had 13, and they've really cranked up how they get to the quarterback. So I'm wondering about your offensive line and the strategy there trying to protect Ben Roethlisberger.
Our offensive line group is really going to be challenged in this game. We're talking about one of the most formidable 4-down groups in the NFL. They've got quality players like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. They've added to that with Javon Hargrave, who former Steeler, but also guys like Malik Jackson. Not only the quality of their players up front, but the depth in the 8- and 9-man rotation that they employ really create challenges for the offensive line. They're going to continually run talented, fresh rushmen at you, and we have to be on the screws individually and collectively in an effort to minimize their impact on the game. As you mentioned, that's a group that's really finding their rhythm and cohesion. And I think that that's something that's worth mentioning, because when you're talking about new components like Wobble and like Malik Jackson, man, it probably takes a few weeks in an effort to find that cohesion that allows you to rush well collectively. They have our attention because they found that, and they've been a catalyst for a lot of positivity for them in recent weeks.
Their linebackers have been forced to do a lot of coverage, and sometimes that's been a weakness for them. You've used Eric Ebron more in the last game. Do you expect to use more of your tight ends in this game?
We have a desire to find balance and spread the ball around, and Ebron and Vance are part of that. Obviously, with what happened last week in San Francisco with Kittles and the numbers that he was able to put up, it makes it a reasonable question. But we're going to stay within our personality and do what it is that we do, and not be swayed by some of the things that others are capable of doing.
As a head coach, do you get jacked up when a team from another part of the state comes in? Any special feelings about that, or is it just another game for you?
Hey, I'm easy. I get jacked up when there's another opponent on the other side of the field for us. This journey is about us and our growth and development, and us rising up to the challenges that this journey presents. The nameless gray faces that we play week to week are less important to me. It's about us answering the challenges, us being respectful of the process, and being respectful of those that we play from a matchup standpoint and what they're capable of from a schematic standpoint. But where they're from, what city they represent, and things of that nature don't register with us that much.
It's the Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. We'll have a final thought from head coach Mike Tomlin when we come back. Right now, let's send it back over to Missi.
All right, thanks, guys. Tomorrow will mark the first time this season the Steelers will be playing in front of fans. Luckily, it is at Heinz Field. I can't wait for Coach to weigh in on that. Coming up next, my one-on-one interview with tight end Eric Ebron. The Mike Tomlin Show continues right after the break.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber. Are you 84 Lumber material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
Prior to the Steelers' Week 3 matchup with the Houston Texans, Coach Tomlin was asked if tight end Eric Ebron would become more involved in the team's offense. His response? Keep watching. Well, it didn't take long to see what that was all about. I had a chance to go one-on-one with Ebron this week to talk about his first touchdown with Pittsburgh and much more.
Roethlisberger, rainbow, touchdown, Eric Ebron.
Man, you know what time it is, man. Follow my lead today. Watch this. Watch this.
All right, Eric, Coach Tomlin has preached since the beginning of training camp. You guys have to be light on your feet. Fair to say a very unexpected bye week is a perfect example of that last week?
Yeah, I mean, what are we to do, you know? It's out of kind of our hands, above my pay grade for sure. So we just have to adapt. And I mean, there's nothing else we can do about it. We kind of knew what we were coming into this season, so we just got to adapt, figure out ways, and go about it.
Ben has talked so much about knocking off the rust, getting in sync with all of the receivers. Do you feel like that momentum was stopped a little bit with that bye week?
Yes and no. I mean, it should be easy for us to pick up where we left off, you know, knocking the rust off, getting back out there, because we do have a couple games underneath our belts. We are picking back up game speed. We are, you know, getting more comfortable with each other. So, man, just treat it as a small vacation, man. That's essentially what we just took. We just took a small break. We're going to come back out here and hopefully continue to dominate, hopefully.
Do you feel like you and Ben each week, maybe even each day at practice, are starting to grow and get to know each other better, almost kind of like you have to speed date since you've had to ramp up this process?
Yeah, it's definitely been speed dating. Yeah, he owes me dinner still, but it's cool. He never really took me out to eat first. But yeah, it's been cool, man. Ben's been obviously trying to feel his way back through the game of football as well. So for me, it's about just doing my part, just being there, you know, when he does target me. And understand that, you know, that sometimes, you know, the ball might not be exactly where he wants it as he's continuing to fill out, you know, the game and fill out his arm and essentially fill out, you know, how he perceives the game and can he get back to, you know, Ben Roethlisberger. So hopefully we just continue to build our chemistry and I just continue to be there for him when he needs me.
Coach Tomlin was specifically asked about you heading into that Houston Texans game, and he said, keep watching in terms of your involvement. I think we all know what happened during that game. Why did you have such a good game that day?
Most would say because my kids and my wife was up here, but for me, it was more of understanding Coach Tomlin's message, because the same message he gives to you guys is the same message he gives to us. He's very straightforward, very thorough, and he lacks no confidence in his coaching. And you love it, man. You adapt to it. You gravitate to that. So the same thing he told you guys, same thing he told me. So I just wanted to step up to the challenge and let him know that I am the playmaker that I am, and continue to do that for this team. Because like I continue to say, all I care about is winning, man. I don't care nothing about the stats, but when my number is called, the only way for me to help, you know, win these games that I would like to win is by contributing when it's my turn. So anytime it's my turn, I'm just looking to make the best of all my opportunities.
Ben in the gun, Connor to his left, double slot right. He's going to throw it for the end zone, and the pass is caught for a touchdown. What a grab by Eric Ebron. Took it away from the defender and scored. Man, that is a big play in this football game.
The photo of your touchdown made the wall leading into the locker room. I saw you were pretty excited about that.
Hall of Fame. Oh!
Was that your first photo on that wall, and did you already get a copy?
So I didn't even know we did that. And then week one, I'm like, all these people are on this wall, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's pretty dope, like, because it forces you to want to be a part of that. You know, you're walking into the building and you're seeing, you know, you see TJ Watt, or you see Cam, or you see Ben throwing a touchdown, or you see Juju catching one, and like the first week, and I'm like, dang, I didn't even know we did this. So it motivates you to want to be that game-changing play that they put on the wall. It's dope, man. I think it's motivation all week to be on that wall, you know. So cool, I liked it. I thought it was a dope idea, so I had to post it.
There's still more coming your way here on the Mike Tomlin Show, presented by 84 Lumber. A limited number of fans will be allowed inside Heinz Field tomorrow for the game. Team President Art Rooney II tells us about the good news.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Now, the past two home games, no fans. I know there was some fake crowd noise used. just did not feel the same. So how much do you think this will be an energy boost for the team to have fans here in person?
Yeah, I think it'll help. As you said, it's been really strange or weird, whatever you want to call it, to play in a stadium without fans for the first 3 weeks. And so I think even a small number of fans will help the atmosphere, and I think our players will really enjoy having some of them in the building.
That was team president Art Rooney II earlier this week, and he also added he hopes as the season goes on, more fans will be allowed inside Heinz Field. Let's go to Bob one final time to see what Coach Tomlin thinks the atmosphere will be like tomorrow. Guys?
Thanks very much, Missy, once again. And now we get to the final word from head coach Mike Tomlin. And Coach, you're going to have fans in the stands for the very first time this year. That came down from the governor's office earlier in the week. Limited fans, but fans nonetheless. Your thoughts about having people in the building for the first time this year?
You know, I'm sure I speak for everyone within our organization in saying that we're extremely excited about this significant step, having an opportunity to perform in front of Steeler Nation in our home venue. I understand it won't be at full capacity, man, but we'll take what we can get. I think the biggest challenge for us is having limited ticket availability and sorting out those requests. I know I'm not looking forward to that this week. I'm going to let my wife, run point on that, and I'm going to pretend to be busy.
Well, you're going to have busy enough going on in the field, trying to get to 4-0 as the Steelers take on the Philadelphia Eagles. That'll be the game coming up tomorrow. Coach, thanks very much for your time and best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for the Mike Tomlin Show this week. We appreciate your support. For Missi Matthews and head coach Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. We'll see you back here again next Saturday night at 11:35 for another edition of the Mike Tomlin Show. Have a great game week.